Hello and welcome back to my small little library. Today we're gonna do the Midyear Book Freakout Tag. Yeah, because it is the middle of the year, time is flying by this year. I don't know how, it has gone by so far. And yeah, this year has been a weird year when it comes to reading. I didn't have that many great books, to be honest. I had a lot of like average books and then quite a few not so great books. But yeah, let's look at what I've read so far, the best books, all of that, and let's go through the tech questions together and let me tell you a little bit about what I've read so far this year. First question is, what is the best book so far you've read this year? And I have to go with a Stephen King actually, and I went with Desperation. I didn't want to go with one that was a reread. And so yeah, I think for me one of my favorites was definitely Desperation. I think this is kind of a really good story. Like it takes you like from the beginning and it pins you down and it just takes you with it. And yeah, I couldn't put it down. I really loved the story. And yeah, it's a brutal story, let's be honest. People are dying here. It is a Stephen King story, so it's also weird and wacky and out there. And yeah, it plays out in a small desert mining town, and there are things going on that are supernatural and are really not what should be going on. And yeah, it's great. I loved it. Really great read. If you haven't read this yet, which it is an older book, you probably have read it, but if you haven't yet, go and read it. It is fantastic. Then question number 2 is the best sequel you've read so far this year. And I have 3 you can kind of choose from, because that is the Murderbot series part 5, 6, and 7. Because I've read all of those this year. They were all 5-star reads for me, so they technically are all the best sequels I've read so far. I mean, they are from the same series. So yeah, I can't really decide which one of the 3 I like the best. So choose one of the 3. I don't know, but yeah, I finished reading the Murderbot series as far as it is out right now, and it is amazing. And yeah, I loved it so much. So by far the best series I've read this year, which I'm really happy about. I already did a reread of all of them, like or like most of them, which I think tells you a lot about the story. And yeah, I love it so much. Then the next question is a new release that I haven't read yet but do want to read, and that is Service Model by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is about a robot who gets a data package downloaded, which enables him to do stuff he wasn't able to do before, and he then kills his owner and then realizes, oh, I can run away now. And then he runs away and he starts life over. And yeah, it felt a little bit reminiscent of the Murderbot. Like, it's obviously not at all the same like starting, but you have a robot as a main character and then they get free will and do something with that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that one. I will have to pick that up at some point, because it just sounds fun and I love Adrian Tchaikovsky and his books. So yeah, I think that will actually be a great read. And then my most anticipated sequel for this year, and that was one I didn't even know existed because I was, preparing for the video and looking things up, and I actually realized that there will be a sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. And this, for somebody who doesn't like romance and like, those good feel romancy books, I love that book, and it gets a sequel this year, and it's called Somewhere Beyond the Sea. Yeah, and so I'm actually looking forward to that one because I love the first one and I have high hopes for the second one. Sadly, I didn't like the other books by TJ Klune. Like, I haven't gotten through the one I'm still currently trying to read, and I started 2 other ones that I couldn't get through actually. So yeah, sadly, I don't love him as an author. I don't get along with most of his books, but I love The House in the Cerulean Sea, so hopefully the sequel will be just as good as the first one. I don't know, but I have hopes for it. Then we have the biggest disappointment of this year so far, and that has to be Whale Fall. I picked this book up and it sounded so fantastic, you know, somebody going out to sea, being swallowed by a whale, and then having to fight his way back and out of the whale. And then it turns out to be a story about a boy who gets mentally abused pretty much by his whole family, and he still feels he is his fault for it. And it happens, he gets swallowed by the whale, but it's such a small point of the book. It's really like, it's not important in the end. It really isn't important. And so yeah, I was really disappointed because I wanted a horror book about somebody being swallowed by a whale, and what I got was a book about feelings where somebody like gets told by everybody you have to put up with abuse, and you like, it's your fault, you aren't making up with the person who abused you. And it was just a really horrible family situation, and nobody is really there for him, and it just reads, it's like a really tragic story about a boy that I didn't want to read. And yeah, so I was incredibly disappointed. I am still looking for a book about a whale who swallows a human as a horror book. I still want that book. This isn't it. Sadly, it was really, really, really disappointing. Also, I just realized I forgot to put my glasses back on, which, let me quickly do that. Okay, that is a lot nicer looking wise. I'm sorry for the glare, but you know, can't change it. Yeah, the next question was what was my biggest surprise this year? And that's actually a book I haven't heard anything about before I got it. And that is The Invocations. This one was a 5-star read for me that I got in the horror book box, and I wouldn't necessarily say that it's horror, it's more like a supernatural mystery, but it is a modern take on witches and the history of witches from, like, pretty much the world feels like a normal world, other than that there are still currently witches and not just like witch huntings in like olden times. And yeah, I really loved it. I loved the main characters. I felt like you could really feel with them throughout the whole book, and I liked the concept of the magic, how it works in the book, and that the story was just great. Yeah, I really loved it. It was a really, really big surprise because I didn't really have any idea about the book, and most books I don't really love, to be honest, because you know, you don't choose them yourself, it's hit or miss, and most of the time it's a miss for me. But this one was like the biggest hit ever. It was amazing. I really, really, really loved this book. Okay, so then for favorite new author, I have to go with Luke Dumas because, to be honest, I haven't read a lot of new authors this year for me. Because I'm trying to get through my physical TBR, and a lot of the authors I have on there I have already read stuff from. But yeah, this is somebody I haven't read anything from, and the book is The Paleontologist. I really loved this book. It was a 4-star read for me. And so yeah, I'm gonna go with him as my new favorite author, even though it's like, you know, I haven't had really that many new authors at all, so it's not really like a context of like who's my favorite, because there weren't really any. So yeah, we're gonna go with that one. Okay, and then let's talk about question number 8, my newest fictional crush, and that has to be the girls from this book. Like, they are all awesome. All of them had like really, really great characters. They're also like women, so plus on my book, you know. I mean, I'm married to men, but I think, yeah, you know, the style of these women is just, it's really what I would be looking for in a woman. But yeah, they are more like on like the dark academia side of style. They have really, really great character. I really, really love them. So yeah, if I had to choose a crush, it's one of the 3. I think they are pretty even. But you know, why choose? Then my newest favorite character, I have to say, is definitely the Murderbot. I think like when it goes to like a great, funny, enjoyable character that also gives you action and isn't like one-sided and like burned into mold and isn't able to get out, it's the Murderbot. I had so much fun, which technically I started reading them last year, so I don't think it technically counts as like the newest favorite character, but it's the newest favorite that I think deserves the title of newest favorite character. Then we have a book that made me cry, and that was The Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, but there are so many emotional moments in this book, and I did primarily read the third part of this one this year, but I mean, it is one book, this edition, and so I finished this edition this year, and yeah, it's just, I'm always gonna cry with The Lord of the Rings. There are so many emotional scenes in there, so many also happy tears, like that book gets me through all of my emotions, and I love it, and so yeah. If I will cry for a book, it will probably be The Lord of the Rings. And then we have the book that makes me happy, and that is actually The Paleontologist, which is like a supernatural thriller horror book. But it gave me so many happy feelings because it plays out in a museum, and you know, I started studying Egyptology, so yeah, originally I also wanted to work in museums. It didn't pan out like that because, you know, life is life. But yeah, it brought back a lot of memories, and it felt a little bit like coming home to, like, you know, my early 20s, and it brought a lot of joy because of, you know, things in the museum and just the whole like aspects of what happened there, not the story really, just like the setting of the story really brought a lot of positive memories out. Then we already are at the last two questions. So we have the most beautiful book you've got so far this year, and I do have to go with this wonderful edition of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. These are, oh, let me tell you, they are illustrated by Mina Lima, and the site also, like the company also has a lot of other books in these editions, and these are so pretty. I like the kind of like comic strippy style of the front, and then the book is completely illustrated. And you know, it just looks so pretty. I think it's like one of the best illustrated editions I have owned so far. So yeah, I would definitely pick up more of them, though I do own a lot of the books already in other editions, so you know, and they're also not the cheapest versions, but I think this is one of the most beautiful books. Like, it looks so good in a bookshelf. Yeah, it's just chef's kiss. I love it. And then, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And there I have so many. I have so many, but my main focus is gonna be on books, because yeah, I would say I have like read roughly around half of the ones that I have gotten so far, but I do kind of want to get those down, so I'm not feeling as guilty about not reading those. And then I have a lot of Brandon Sanderson that I need to get read. I have to continue with Words of Radiance. I have like the next 3 books in that series, so 6 books in total, because I have the split editions. I definitely need to read those. Those are like so long on my list now. And then we have some Rick Riordan, like the second, I think Heroes of Olympus is this series name. I have that series. I definitely need to get through that. So yeah, I have quite a few books that I need to get through. I mean, my goal is to get my physical TBR under 200. I am making great strides in that direction, but I'm not there yet, so I have quite a bit that needs to be read. But yeah, that is pretty much the way it is at the moment. This is how things are going. I don't know, reading has been really up and down this year, and I don't expect it to change, to be honest. So hopefully by the end of the year I will actually have managed my goals, and yeah, we'll see. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments to any of the books I've mentioned today, please leave them down below, and yeah, hopefully I will see you in the next video.